So now we're going to do the day for night version of our 15th century Florence. I'm using the original image that I've expanded out. I haven't, fully cloned out everything yet. This is purely just to go over the day for night aspect. What I will go over right now is I have made, and it may not be readily apparent, paths of various things that I wanted to use as clean plates basically. And if you see, I'm control clicking on the path so you can kind of see their outline. Midground. And it just really behooves to go through and make your paths first, so that way when we're doing the day for night, it's a lot more easier to see or to make quick selections of everything. You can see I've cut out windows, the church windows, some more rooftops to use as masks for the light mask that we're going to do later. And then I actually did some cleanup masks real quick with paths. And if you go over to the channels, basically have the city. And if you hit the RGB, you can see it as a mask right there. So RGB is selected with the mask itself, the alpha. And this is just the city. So if I use my arrow, you can see I'm going right up to the town's edge and this closer mountain that I want to have with the city. And if I go down one more, I've made a mask of the city with the background mountains, so that basically I can make a clean selection of the sky. And the reason I have these is so that when we're going through our day for night portion, basically I can do some color correction solely on the sky, and then color correction on the mountains, and then color correction on the city. So let's go back over to our layers. I've made a layer group for day for night, and that's going to have all of our nighttime color correction nodes, and then the lights and the glows that we've added later. So if we go down to this layer right here, this is just purely a color fill. If you can see here, I've made it as a multiply. It's at 86%. It's covering everything. And if you just double click on the color fill, you can see the color that I've selected. And the nice things about color fills is you can independently go back and change any of the values and color tones. So you're not really locked in, in terms of your choice, but you can get it in the ballpark. So let's say OK here. So this is, again, just the color fill by itself at 80%, 85, 86%. And then if I unclick this, now I've made a curve that I call the decontrast curve. If I move my curves up, what I've basically done is I've raised the black levels and I've crushed the brights. So basically if we turn this on and off, you can see I've basically equalized the plate a little bit, because I don't want my darks to go too dark and I don't want my highlights to be too bright, because this is nighttime. So this is basically a way to even it out, and I could even go a little higher if we wanted to. And then now if we combine those two, you can see right away you've basically got something that's working towards a nighttime. Now I have another color fill here, but I've actually made a mask selection that would include only the city and the background mountains. Now let me delete that layer and let me go over here. And this is just the sky layer, so control click, go back over. Now there's the color fill. Now if I add that mask, now you can see it's only the sky, not the mountains, that are being affected. And if I wanted to, let's say, double click, maybe this is too dark. Let's go up into here. And then maybe we do a lesser percentage. And what I'm really trying to go for is, now the mountains have pretty much disappeared, which I don't want. Let me go back and delete this layer mask and use the city layer mask. Come on. There we go. And then now you can see that we have that coming back a little bit more. Let me zoom this this out a little bit. So now you can see that our main attention is the city. We have a slight hint of the mountains there. And then let's see what I did with this sky curve. It's just further darkening the sky a little bit more. You can start to see the separation right about here for that foreground mountain. That's probably why I didn't have it selected. But what's nice is the sky is really dark. The city is darker. We still have a directional lighting from screen left, which basically I'm going to pass off as more like moonlight. You know, if you wanted to add to that, let's see, you could basically add a gradient. Let's see here, let's just do another curve. Let me just raise the values of that curve. Let's do a gradient, G, Shift G, and then drag it straight across. Actually, let's do it more at a, let me just do it more at this angle because of the shadows. Now basically invert that selection. Maybe grow it out. A little bit more. Something like that. And then basically if you want you could select the, let's try just doing the sky alpha. Control Shift I, and then edit fill, and then this time you want to fill with black. Control D. There we get more of that mountain coming back. And then there you can see, you know, just you know what? Let's try Control Z, Control Alt Z, Control D. That's back to the gradient by itself. And let's just Control click the city. Control Shift I to invert. Edit, fill, black. So now you can see that's that sky. So you get a little bit more sense that the sky is illuminated. This might be a little bit too much. We just want something subtle. And then again, if you wanted to, you could go back in, maybe do a slight 20%, 20% of pure white just over this to feel like that gradient maybe grazes over everything a little bit more, just to lessen that read or harsh edge on everything. And now click, yeah, it's not too bad, and it actually gives a little bit more of a directionality for the sky. And then basically you want to make sure that group for the night is pass through, because you actually want it to go down below and affect your bottom layers. And then now we'll get on to the lights.